Go live already.
We are broadcasting
Play
live.
my music,
Welcome,
play some
welcome,
music, play some
welcome.
music. Let's go.
It's a wonderful evening tonight. We are 10 seconds into the broadcast. We said, let's go live, let's go live. For all the early birds, we appreciate the early birds. And by the way, if you're late, you're going to see all of this once we put it back on the feed. It's a premiere with Poya Media on Facebook. Last week, we had the Insta Live with Bishop, and we had great feedback. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Bishop, you are right at the bottom of my screen, and I'm seeing everything else on the right side. Are you there?
I'm right here with you.
I enjoyed your is it after five, before four? What's the name of the show? Before four, after five?
Before and after. Before and after.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I took notes in my notebook.
You are not this or that. You are this and that.
I wrote down, I am the now. I am the now. Great broadcast today. We're not here to reflect on the notes. If you missed out on that one, have a look at the feed. Poya Media has taken over Bishop's handles. And thank you very much to our technician. Manu, we love you so much. Job well done. Bless your heart. Throughout the course of the show, you will see a crawl going by. You will see logos on the top hand corner, and we're going to give you more information about that. Bishop, you will let us know where we can read the comments. Is that correct?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
Once they pop up. So give us a go ahead. So continuing as we speak, last week we spoke about your arrival to Namibia, which is next week, Tuesday. How many more sleeps to go, Bishop? Are you excited?
My daughter, when I was away, she would ask me how many more. Then I said, I'm coming next week. Then she'll ask me how many more sleeps. How many more sleeps? Then I'll say. Then that's how she'll interpret time. Then I'll say 4 more sleeps or 5 more sleeps. Then she starts counting from there. But yeah, in our case, we can say 9 more sleeps, if not 8. I don't know, 9, depending if I land in on Thursday, Friday, or I land in on Saturday. Yeah, we are good to go. And Namibia has been calling for the longest of time, and what a time,
nice.
what a time, what a time.
That's good. That's good. Bishop, you know that your eyesight is better than mine. You've got a nice, big, fully fledged studio. Congratulations. So I think tonight you can read because my eyesight has failed me. I'm half your age, but my eyesight is half of yours.
You must eat more. You must eat more greens and carrots, and drop some coconut oil once in a while in your eyes, and put some honey also and some lemon, and cleanse your lenses. That's the real lens, not your glasses, and it might actually improve a bit of your sight. Yeah.
Can I show off before we do the interview? Can you allow me to do that?
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do you love this shirt? Is it clear enough? Is it clear enough? We need to get some models to advertise the shirts. How do they look, Bishop?
I'm very jealous. I mean, I should have been having one already here in Zimbabwe, but I promise you, I'll be when I land at the airport. I want my shirt on me. I am tired of these other brands. I'd rather put on my brand, and anyone who wants to join us on this battle and this field of farming thoughts. Here is our first offering on Farmers of Thought t-shirt. Yes, we're starting there. I think we'll move over into other things. As you support, then we develop better products that you can identify with. But thank you very much, Poya Media, for taking up the brand to this level. And I'm excited to see all the, there's some movement, there's some movement in Namibia there. T-shirts are ready and other programs that you take us through. Thank you very much.
Yes. So exactly what you said. Throughout the course of the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we're going to give information where to get your merchandise. Bishop, I'll be honest, we've been having endless calls from the National Theatre of Namibia. You can see the logo on top. Also, MobiPay, our #1 sponsor. We have Riverside Lodge. Sponsors have been coming through, and we're going to discuss about the importance of aligning your brand with corporate in a bit. But first and foremost, let me start off the conversation by asking you, what is the most frequent common question you always get wherever you go? What is that question that people always ask you?
Are you still a Christian?
Okay. Can I ask you that question?
No, you can't ask me the question. So what do they ask me? You don't, because you ask me, people ask questions sometimes they are not prepared to get answers to. Are you a Christian? Are you still a bishop? You know, what are you in? And my identity,
Yes.
I think, is a pain in the neck for many people who want to pin me. I think that was actually the precursor, the conversation that I had earlier on in my program. That
Uh-huh.
it's amazing how people want to lock each other into common
Stereotype.
spaces of understanding, and they don't allow you to grow. They don't allow you to expand. They want to lock you in there and hold you. Yes, I have my own beliefs. I have read through many sets of beliefs, and I don't think I have concluded on my study. It's an ongoing process. I am being.
Okay, great. And that's why you had your session for today. That was really insightful. Do you think that was your most difficult question, or what was your most difficult question? That's the follow-up question for you tonight.
The other difficult question was, do you, now that you have studied and you have read the Egyptian history, you have read the Enuma Elish, the epics of Gilgamesh, you have done Egyptology, you have researched widely, and you seem to be very informed. Can you now frankly confirm that the world was created 6,000 years ago, according to the beliefs of the churches that we are coming from? And honestly speaking, I think that has been the most difficult academic question, because the 6,000-year theory is based on the belief system of a church, and yet history and science would be giving you evidences that are mounting into thousands of years. And I think that religion wishes to wish away science and wish away knowledge, which sometimes is difficult. It's difficult to do. And God created the heavens and the earth, if you're a Christian. And then there's a gap there on verse 2. And then God said, so the creation of the heavens and the earth is not restricted to the 6,000 years, because then it says the earth was formless and void, and there was water and what? But what was at the bottom of the water? Is it possible that there was a foundation at the bottom there? What was the sedimentation of that foundation? And by the time you're talking about the floods and other things, and there is, when the water is receding back to the sea and etc., and other foundations are being exposed with the dinosaurs, with other elements, with ancient cities that are buried for 5, 10, 15, 30,000 millions of years ago. And then Christianity seems to be baffled that no, it can't be. It must all be within the 6,000 years, simply because we want to protect some certain dogma. I think there's a difference between a theologian, a pastor, a scholar, a historian, and simply put some differences in terms of our understanding, because one school of thought cannot overshadow the other academic field.
Great. So that was your difficult question, and thank you for answering it at the same go. And the reason why we decided to have this live on your platform is to showcase the kinds of conversations that we're going to have next week, Friday, at the NTN. More specifically, under the theme about culture, being African, you know, knowing your roots and your identity. So we're not going to dwell into that, but also allowing those online to have the platform to ask questions that they want to ask you one-on-one. The great thing is that we're now transforming into digital territory where you are now a click away, Bishop. You're a click away. I'm not saying you've got access 24/7 to everybody, but people can now feel that they are right with you in their living rooms, which is a great experience. Digital transformation, we're going to touch on that in a little bit, but hang on. I need to advise all the Namibians that are online that purchase ticket prices are $650, including the t-shirt. Lovely t-shirt. And then if you see in the background, Find Your Truth, 950 web tickets Namibia. You can just go online. It's in every single Pick and Pay store countrywide. If those traditional lists, you know, when people love seeing a ticket, they don't trust the online digital system that much. So this morning, Bishop, coming back now to your Facebook or your interview with, what was the radio station's name in Zimbabwe?
Power FM.
Power FM. So they took you way back to some of your publications that you published years back. Do you find, let's say over the past 10 years, what you have published 10 years ago is still relevant in your new situation, in your new environment? Or do you think, you know, things have changed in between the time since you penned down your thoughts?
There has been, sure, an exodus, I can say so, between my more elementary writing and my more senior writing. When I was young, I had a specific audience, which was a Christian audience, specifically the Adventist community to which I was serving, and a very small little shadow on the outside. But immediately after I finished writing some of those books, then I picked up some work with DSTV on the One Gospel channel, where they now asked me to translate my writing into a show. That was my first breakthrough show on the South African ground. I'd already done some work in the United Kingdom under the Revelation Channel TV there. But when I came to South Africa now, and I had to adapt some of those Adventist, so to speak, ideologies, Christian ideologies, to a more wider Christian community. When I did the show, the Joshua Show on One Gospel, and now for the first time, I discovered that my audience was much wider than my denominational audience, and I needed to adapt that. Then I put some music there with some band, and we'll be sharing principles of self-mastery. And I remember I was still young then, slim and slender, and a bit timidish, but you could still feel the age in there. By the time I did shopping skills, my daughters were teenage girls, and I needed to start moving now into parenting from just pastoring. Now I needed to have a conversation with my daughters. So I wrote that book, and I asked my kids to edit it and go through the principles, because the things that I needed to share with them in the absence of their mother. Then that for me became a personal project, because I said to everybody else, to hell with you. I am talking with my children. You are privileged enough to know what we are discussing closed doors. But because the content was so versatile and flexible, I felt we could share it with the world. That gave me the second show that I did, which was the shopping skills show. By the time I moved over into Amabishopi and Abafundisi, and I started working on going places in the spirit, African problems, African solutions, find your truth, women in the kitchen, when I was with Sambulo TV, which later on translated itself to what do they call themselves now? Life Destiny TV. I can frankly say it has always been an involvement and a transformation. And now the last book that I'm going to be putting out, which is entitled The Gospel According to Maponga J, it's a much more seasoned, mature text where I'm now a grandfather, looking back in reflection in all these years of experience and say, what is it that I can leave as a legacy for my children?
Yeah.
But there could still be one more on preaching dynamics, which I'd already written but was not yet published, which is the technique of public speaking and how I wanted to impart. I thought at one time I'd run a school of theology and train young pastors on how to extract the correct context of the word and preach it with conviction and truth. But that book is already there for what it is worth. Those who still want to use it for preaching, I might just launch it as the last offering for the religious and Christian community. I thank you.
You're gonna make us so sad. Don't say you're last. Don't say you're last. You have just begun. You are where you are. Who knows? This has just been the beginning for you. This has just been the beginning.
Yeah,
We will make
it's
it our point.
flight in transit. It's a flight in transit, and you catch me right at the airport before the aeroplane leaves me at Katima Mulilo, just on time before I depart.
We'll take your bags. We'll grab you and say, "We're not done with you yet, Bishop. We're not done." I didn't add this question on the improv guideline because it just popped up now in our conversation. And many times I think you allow people to see the character you are with what you portray online, which is a very good thing. But many people that don't know you, you are a very, soft-hearted, kind-hearted individual. You're a mommy's boy, and I don't think not many people know that. When we've been promoting your event here, someone told me he seems so strict and so serious, just how you speak. Can I ask you an emotional question? What still, saddens you in general in life? Anything that people don't know of? Because we know the bishop that's sitting here. What is that characteristic that not many people know of that still gets to you as a human being off the screen?
I'm sad to see young people die before they die. I'm sad to see potential that is restricted because people are anticipating parousia. People are anticipating heaven. Their minds have disappeared into oblivion. and yet their bodies are still here. And of course, I had the biggest joke over the weekend when I went to visit my mom. I still love my mom. She's alive. My dad is alive.
That's
I went
great.
home to do some breastfeeding, which was quite refreshing, I should say, quite refreshing. And I went to show her my wound on my foot. And you know what
Uh-huh.
mommies do? She picked up my leg and she went, you know,
And it's
52-year-old
a-okay.
man, and she's blowing my wound. And he says, it will be fine. It will be fine. After she did that, I just said to myself, it's fine. I can go back to town now. I'm sorted. So yes, you're right. I still have a soft spot for my mother, who is only 16 years older than me. So we still cool, and we still cool. But then she heard that people were talking about my foot on media and media. She's
Yeah.
she's not very technologically equipped, but she got a phone, she got a WhatsApp. She does not type on it. She sends voice notes, which is fine. So she hears Maponga J is on media. Then she calls one of the girls aside, says, who is this media? Who is this media? I want to go and have a talk with them, because they can't do this to my son. And someone says, no, media is the platform, but she actually thought it was a human being whom she could go and manhandle and says, you stop this. This is my child, But we had a good laugh over the weekend. My mom trying to look for media. I thought she thought it was Madia or something like that, the name of a lady or something who was giving
Who's
me
going to
trouble.
put on her boxing gloves, Bishop? She's going to say, who's doing this to myself? Who's are you?
Who is this media? Who is this media? Give me their number. I want to talk I want to talk to
But
them.
from a uh-huh.
Yeah, no, but it's fine. It was exciting. I had a good laugh over the weekend. A good laugh. Yeah.
But from a peer point of view, Bishop, they always say if somebody has time to draw a caricature of you, you are of importance, and that should resonate something. Forget about the context. If people have time to do that, you can say, "Mama, I made it. Mama, I made it." So
the first time I got harassed was when Rasta in South Africa. He actually drew this huge portrait. If you got the gospel about Maponga J, that picture I'm using there with a hoodie, a Rasta sort of thing, it's actually a live painting that I have, which the famous artist Rasta did. But I've collected another 5 or 10, 15 paintings from other young people who have been inspired, including my latest gift, which was 2 weeks ago. This was a young man, did a huge grass mat, very unique, brilliant young man. From South Africa. Kudos to him. And you inspire people in different ways. And I really appreciate all the young artists there who reach out. Another guy from Zambia, the picture that is in my sitting room there is actually from Zambia, and I appreciate him.
Awesome. It's great to, open up other doors for others. And that's what I appreciate you. You don't just share. You just don't keep things to yourself. You try to open up doors for others that are trying to make a name for themselves. We are living in a pandemic. One of the things that we always try to do back home in Namibia from a PR point of view, trying to align corporate brands with influential brands. There's always a risk. I was in corporate for 10 years serving, big corporates, and there's always a risk on the overspill of a private equity to a corporate brand. And number one, let's look at the pandemic. So some people could say that corporates have downsized, scaled their budgets because of the pandemic. It's cost-cutting exercises. They don't have the lavish $500,000 to spend, the 20,000, the 50,000s, the whatever thousands. But some could argue and say, now people are investing in people like you that can reach thousands just online, cutting costs. What has your experience been with corporates, number one, knocking on the doors to endorse you or vice versa? And which theory do you believe in most based on experience?
I think the danger we have is that many of the marketing managers and HR directors we have who are sitting on these budgets, they graduated in the 80s and in the late 70s, and some of them who are lucky in the 90s. And by then, social media and all these handles were not as popular. And actually, I think all those managers, we need to give them the funds that are equivalent to the year that they graduated. Because if you look at it very carefully, you are now working in a space where information is moving so fast, and you're still thinking of billboards. You're still thinking, and by the way, when you graduated in the 80s, the books that you were studying were written in the 50s and in the 40s, and your lecturers had graduated in the 60s and in the 50s. So the gap of information that we find between our corporate HR directors who have not sought to develop themselves at the speed at which technology is moving, they're actually lagging behind. While they're still thinking of putting a billboard up, I will have already put an advert here and I will have impacted 500,000 people in the next 10, 15 seconds, while they're still thinking what to do. So we needed also to start talking to them, and they could find that influencers in brands. And some of you guys who are business people, identify good brands, align yourself with them, and grow together. And above all, in as much as they don't have time in the midst of the pandemic, our kind of work that we do is that which instills confidence, which tells people to get back on their feet, encourage people, dust yourself, dealing with adversities, grounding yourself. It's an encouragement part of business. And those who think that what we are doing is an extra curriculum, it is a non-essential. You might be shocked that you might end up with your employees, but if they are demotivated and they are not encouraged to work and they are not passionate about their work, you might end up having bodies on the chair, but the quality of their work is mediocre and less quality. So I hope, and I want to challenge corporates, that when you see people like us walking into town, I'm not marketing myself, but please come closer, bring your employees, bring your teams. This is the real nation building. This is real team building. This is real family building, where we are putting the pieces together so that we can work towards a common understanding. So I really believe, in as much as we are not on stipends from organizations, but we're an integral part of those organizations. Because every morning while we are sending videos, encouraging their employees, they're harvesting the rewards of a motivated worker on the other side.
Very well said. Manu, if you're on the back screen, I don't see MobiPay's logo. I don't see the other logos. So just in case, marketing and brand positioning is very, very important. Just in case, at the bottom of the screen, you will be reading in a couple of bit. If you would like to advertise on this platform, feel free to reach out. You can send us an email. That's info@FOT, meaning Farmers of Thought. MJ for mapongaj.com. Thank you for looping. Thank you, Manu. I think he was sleeping on us because the conversation was so good, Bishop. So if you see where Web Tickets Now is on the right, my right-hand corner, maybe your left, I'm not too sure. To advertise on this slot, on this live stream, there are customized rates for SMEs. Bishop, I saw, was it last week, you had 2 young entrepreneurs, promoting their app. And this is how we also create our own streams, which is as good as your broadcaster nowadays. I mean, who would have thought, Bishop, you have over 500,000 following. How does that make you feel? Do you know that?
It has been organic and very, very unintentional. We've just been growing. I mean, some of these pages are 10, 14 years old, and people have just been patient with me as I've been taking my journey. Some have come in, some have left, and they come back again. Some have opened new accounts after they are blocked for swearing, and they come back and they sit down and they behave themselves. But all things being equal, I think if there's anyone on the platform who is with us across the nation, in Europe, in America, in parts of Africa, and you want to become part of our brand, Farmers of Thought, and you want us to partner with you in whatever you're doing, the best thing to do is to get in touch with info at I see info at Maponga J. Maponga J is my personal email. It must be info at FOTMJ.com. Then please line up yourselves. We would want to feature businesses in Africa. We want to feature innovations in Africa. And I'm glad to announce that we have identified 2 or 3 teachers so far for Swahili in Tanzania and in Kenya who are going to be premiering their lessons on this platform. I'll give them access.
Really?
Swahili from scratch. I'll be a student also on those platforms. But if you have a business out there, here is a perfect platform. Share with us whether you're a dressmaker. You can tell them about what I'm doing also in Namibia in terms of supporting the dressmakers locally. When I come to your country, I want to put on clothes manufactured in your country. So I will work with the local musicians, work with the local seamstresses there, play, do my thing, meet the people that are there. But if you are in an African space and you want to join us on this great exodus, even if you want to contribute and support us on this journey, be it in marketing, be it in media, be it in books, be it in inviting us to your country, be it financial contribution, any form of help to help us drive this agenda will add value to what we're doing. And we really appreciate, and let's work together as an African nation so that we can be able to maximize on our numbers and possibly make money together as we grow together.
What we love about your brand is that you have started your YouTubes, like when it started. So whenever we mention your name, you know what people always say? Yeah, I always watch his YouTube videos. There was a guy that actually went to the National Theater of Namibia and said, I keep on watching this guy on YouTube. And we love that you embrace social media. Those that do not embrace social media, their companies will become extinct one day. It's like having a Nokia or those Kodak cameras. Time will move on. So just in case, Manu, we're supposed to be having MobiPay on the top right-hand side of the screen in case you didn't load it yet. We'd like to thank MobiPay, Riverside Lodge, and like we said before, if you'd like to reach out for the event in Namibia, contact us. You can also send that mail to the email address at the bottom or send a WhatsApp. We said at the beginning, you gave your child sleepies until you come. So 8 sleeps away. Within your 2 weeks, Bishop, you will be headed to Katima Molilo for a men's conference. What is that all about?
Well, I see lots of organizations that are coming up with women's issues, girl-child issues. And my illustration is very simple. You spend lots of time developing the girl child, and she sits on the 16th floor. She has a doctorate now. She has a master's. She has everything. She has been encouraged to go up, take the girl child to work, and boom, well done. Now she's looking for a husband, and the husband is still on the ground floor. Now look at the disparity that we have created by actually developing one group of the community because they are they are undermined. With all due respect, we need to do that. But while we are doing that, let's just be careful we don't duplicate the same problem on the left and create a new problem on the right. I believe that the boy child needs to grow with the girl child. And men have been trashed over media for the longest of time. I think men are dogs. One time was trending. The other time it was men are trash. And lastly, by the way, you have ministries that are in many African governments, ministries of women affairs. Yeah, beautiful ministry, women affairs. What are they talking about? Abuse. What are they talking about? Rape. What are they talking about? All the problems that men are causing. Now, I sit around here and I watch and I say, why create a ministry for the abused? Why not create a ministry that speaks to the abusers? Why react to create a ministry for people to cope with pain? And yet those that are causing it are constantly doing it, and no one is stepping into that space to begin that conversation. Men's conferences, every city I'll go to together with my book launches and everything. I'm sorry, I've done a book, Women in the Kitchen, which is purely focusing at women. On another day, I'll tell you how, as a man, I wrote a book about women in the kitchen. But I want to do the men's conferences and have conversations with men. And if you can do a survey on my page here, actually, I have more men on my page than I have women. So to me, it's a big plus that I'm able to reach my own team, who are the men, and we speak men's issues, masculinity issues, financial issues, hereditary and legacy issues. You know, how to make the land pregnant first before you make a woman pregnant, and how to continuously become custodians of the past, the present, and the future. So it will be a mind blower, and I want to challenge all the men in Katima Mlilo and in the Great Northern Province, part of Chobe, those in Kazungula, those who are in Zambia, those who are in Vic Falls. And if you are within the princess of the 100, 200 kilometers within Katima Mlilo, please come. We'll have a conference, we'll have boat cruises, and we'll have workshops in the waterfront and on the islands. It will be great fun. But let us just come also. We cry together, we share our problems. Let's talk about these women who can't have sex and have a headache at the same time.
When they're on their period, right? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm not in the mood.
We can multitask.
We might have some university students, so y'all shouldn't even be entangled with that. But still getting back to that. So many times, Bishop, I'm asked to speak at women's conferences. And that's the same thing that I always say. We are always preaching to the converted. What do I mean by that? We are standing up as 10, 20 influential women, 5 or 4. We're telling our stories of spilt milk, of GBV. But then when we go home, we are still going to the unministered individuals. Meaning, and I'm not trying to say all the time, men are the culprits. There are many men that are being abused by their women, but they cannot freely come out there because it's too embarrassing. It's too shy. And I don't want to get into that discussion right now. But what I want to do get into is that you are able to use your influence and speak about things that many men do not want to own. And that's why, we said a men's conference is excellent. We had a couple of calls even today. Those that called Riverside Lodge and asked, what about us women? Why are you only having conferences for men? But again, like you said, we are doing women justice and favor by starting with the basics. And who better to hear it from? Sometimes maybe coming from a man to a man, they hear it easier. Do you think that's the case? Are we nagging too much?
And I think if I can become a theologian just for half a minute.
Please
the
do.
First commandment that we have in the Bible is not the 10 commandments. The first commandment is found in Genesis 1:26. Let us make men. It doesn't say let us make women. Let us make men. And I know that might sound very chauvinistic, and theologians want to run at me and say, no. The word men there used, it is a generic term meaning male and female. No. The first interpretation is the literal one. Let us make men. So let me look at the uncomfortable translation that says, let us make men, as of the masculine side. Who is this passage relating to? It is speaking to the government, let us make men. It is speaking to the churches, let us make men. It is speaking to the women, let us make men. Why must we make men? Because when you make one man, one woman will be happy, children will be happy, the community will be safe. That environment where that one good man is found is a safe place. The daughters will be safe. So by making men and making men the key subject of the society, you're actually correcting half of the crimes. I mean, 80% of our prisons are not full of women. They are full of men. 80 to 90% of the crimes that are committed in the community are not committed by women. They are committed by men. Therefore, the statement is right. Let us make men. That men must be in the business of making men. Women must be in the business of making men. Churches must be in the business of making men. Governments must be in the business of making men. Because when you make men, you will have made a safer community. That's my 2 cents worth. You may argue until the cows come home. It will take you a long time to convince me, because I know one man who is messed up will mess up 65, 80, 90 women, will kill, will murder, will cause care. One man. Look at this other one young man a few days ago in America who, by the time sunset came, 18 people were dead. One young boy. How many orphans behind that? How many widows behind that? How many widowers behind there? How much employees were destroyed? Just one wrongly wired man can cause far much more chaos than what one woman can do. So let us make men.
Great. Very powerful. And to those that are watching online, and I'm not saying you're old, Bishop, don't get me wrong, but to my younger generation, I always say that it starts with the boy child. It starts with my 2 sons at home, Popieni that's 10 and Oya that is 6, to instill this dialogue, not when he's in his 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. My philosophy in life, you can't change a broken man. I'm sorry. Maybe there's a 0.001%, but you have a better chance in instilling this in a 4-year-old that will now grow up with values that it's supposed to be there in society to bring up this household. So a step further to my men that are watching online, when we bring up our children, our babies, especially the boy child, they are the ones that we should be targeting at the end of the day, most above all. That was my 5 cents.
Adding on that also, and I think many men, if not many families, in as much as we want to bring up these children, we neither have the software or the information. What do you train? What do you say to these young boys and girls? Bearing in mind, sometimes half of us are already injured and half of us are already bleeding also. So I think
Yeah.
these conversations around men will then begin a conversation that will spill its way into our homes, giving men tools on how do
Yeah.
we train the boy child. And I think maybe later on, when I'm feeling strong enough, I would want to run another workshop for women who are bringing up, single parents, and women who are bringing up the boy child, and what sort of challenges are in that setup, and how best you can actually grow your boy to become a responsible citizen, because you can be very sure at one time or the other the boy child would want to know who is my father. And the day that happens, you're going to lose your marbles and say, but I brought you up, I did this and that, I did this. No, mommy, it has nothing to do with you. It is a gene that is inside every boy child to know where he comes from and how he connects and how his contribution will be felt upon the face of the earth. Never fall in the trap of taking away the boy child away from their father. Keep that relationship healthy. You will thank me later.
Amen. No, that's fully understandable.
You sound
And
amen.
let's be realistic. No, well, what you're saying, it's close to home for me, and you know that as well. And I think many times, Bishop, what we see on social media is always this white picket fence, with a married couple. But statistics, even in Namibia, it's alarming how many divorce rates go into court. Just to bring things back home. I think so many times we have a narrative of what is not our reality. We are trying to portray things online that we have a husband and a wife, and that's not what happens in our households. We have a mother, like myself. I'm a single mother. You're a single mother raising two kids. Yes, the father is present, etc. Because, like you said, the bond is very important to maintain for the child. But when we package these conferences, we need to customize to what's home, not what we think or what we want people to think that we are happily ever after, because there are many issues. But that's another discussion for another day. So please.
No, maybe another day when we have gathered enough confidence, I will come also and share how I destroyed my life using religion as an excuse, and how I vandalized my own home and destroyed my marriage. And maybe it will be a testimony, but I would be willing to share with other men out there who are obsessed with God to an extent of vandalizing their own relationships, thinking that religion is actually a sustaining factor to a marriage. There are principles that homes must run with that have nothing to do with religion. Let religion be a celebration center, but the functions of home must never be relegated to religion. You can't be spending 90 hours with God and then you give your wife 5 hours and you think that that home will last because God is with you. You'll be embarrassed because Jesus will never sleep with your wife.
Sorry, I had a giggle at them. Sorry, but yeah, no, the point came across. It did. It did.
Are you laughing at me or laughing with me?
No, I'm laughing for you. So
For the
to everybody,
for the why.
So for all those that are in Katima, please send us a direct email. It's $500 per person. You'll have a nice boat cruise. Bishop is going to be the sailor. He's got his license to sail. We're going to take you to a nice island, and we're going to have an unconventional conference. And that's what we try to do. We try to bring heavy discussions in a lighter environment, not to make light of the situation, but just so that we can breathe in the Zambezi River smell. We can just hear the birds and see the hippos and see the crocodiles and speak about things that are relevant when we go back home. So please inbox us.
Those who are in the Caribbean and in the US and Europe, that place, Katima Mlilo, is very dear to my heart. Katima Mlilo, Botswana, the Chobe River, 5 countries are in confluence there. That is Zambia, that is Botswana, that is Zimbabwe, that is Namibia, and Angola is just a stone throw away from there. If we wanted to build the next most beautiful city, one of the most beautiful city the world has ever seen, I suggest we start focusing at that 200-300 kilometer radius There's huge
Sounds
potential there from game reserves, water, unlimited. I don't know why we are stuck with these European cities where people are building a city like Bulawayo in the midst of a desert, like 500 kilometers away from a river source. And then our people must be struggling to organize water from the river to a city.
Yeah.
Hello, somebody. Hello. Build a city next to the river. That's how the Egyptians and the Pharaohs, the Sudanese, the Ethiopians build civilizations around the river Nile. So I really am passionate about that project along the 5 confluence of those countries, Chobe and Zambezi and Botswana, meeting together at that corner there. It's a beautiful space. Game, water, fishing, tourism, mining, name it, transportation. Man, it is the place to be. You want to invest in Africa? Take it from me. Look for a piece of land in that part of the world, either on the Zambian side, Botswana side, Zimbabwean side, Namibian side, or Angola side. You will never go wrong. Beautiful investment opportunities right there. Vic Falls is just a stone throw away. An hour and a half boat cruise ride, you are right there at the Great Zambezi. And further up the road, you're catching your fish and swimming with the crocodiles and the Himba tribes there. I think I'm going to build a retirement home somewhere there.
You should. You should. One thing that the pandemic has taught us is to appreciate and be tourists in our own country. So I salute you. For the first time, I traveled my own country, when I was in Katima. Just that tranquility, there's no rush. I'm not saying things are slow, but there's no rush. I'm going to come now to your whole Pan-Africanism because you started on my next question, Bishop, just expressing, development of our continent. But I wasn't done. So info@poyamedia.net, inbox us. $500 Namibian will get you a ticket to be with a bishop. So from 10 in the morning up until 4:30. It's dedicated to men for the men's conference. And who knows, maybe in August, we'll bring him back for Women's Month to talk to the women and especially single mothers. So
someone is asking me, am I reaching Windhoek? Yes, the book launch will be in Windhoek.
Of course.
You tell them, Ilka, you tell them.
Okay, great. I can't read the comments from here, so thank you very much.
You read Windhoek, Mara-Rah? They're asking me, will you come to Windhoek? So maybe give them one more time a breakdown. There it is.
Okay,
will you? There, they've pinned it for you.
Okay. Hey, Shali, how are you? So Bishop will be at Exclusive Books Friday morning at 11 o'clock at the Grove Mall. You know where that is. And then at the National Theater of Namibia at 6 that same evening. So please log into your website, www.webticketsnamibia, purchase your ticket. One comes with a beautiful, sorry, I need a model again for those that just joined us. You can get a beautiful t-shirt, hey, ho, for $6.50, or you can get a ticket with the book, which is $9.50, Find Your Truth. So you can find Bishop, and then we're gonna have a whole media tour on the 13th and the 14th of June. So you'll be able to catch him live. So those are the details. Coming back to your whole passion about Africa and your whole passion about seeing Africa being developed and not always still developing. It's like we always need to learn from people, but we have such wonderful people like yourself, Bishop, that can teach other people things in Europe and London. So apart from the 2 major events, the book launch and Katima Molilo, what other narratives around Pan-Africanism will you be doing in Namibia, and with who, if you want to shed more light, and why?
One of the most important things I've been doing so far, it is to work towards the United Kingdoms of Africa. I started up an organization called UCA. You'll be seeing lots of it being published in different parts of the world, and as each region is picking up and adapting it. But UCA is the United Kingdoms of Africa. Basically looking at how do we unite the kings, because I believe that the kings are the custodians of culture. How do we unite the kings so that we can begin to have our sort of African games, we can begin to have our African economy, we can begin to have a preservation of our African culture. So yes, when I come to Namibia, I will have a privilege of visiting with the king in the north of the Odongo, is it Odongo? Ondonga tribe. I will have a dinner with him and the municipality, the city councillors there, the mayors, and we'll have a celebration at his palace We'll have a chance of sharing notes on how do we align ourselves with the concept of uniting Africa and building this narrative together. And of course, it's critical that I come to Namibia because of the history of the Germans that I've been shouting for and about for a long time, and the genocide that happens in the hands of the Germans, the beheading of those 20, 30,000 heads that were skinned in Namibia, and they are right now in the museum somewhere in Germany. And I would want to find out, as the king of the North, together with other kings, should there be an initiative to directly begin the conversation to restore these skeletons back to mainland, and we can actually have a proper burial for them and put a monument that will remind the young generation of where we are coming from, so that what killed our parents will not kill us also. And I think this conversation, in as much as the governments are involved, but I think because it is a cultural issue which spills itself into the political arena, the champions and the drivers of this initiative must become the indigenous leaders. For that reason, I'm coming to meet up with the kings in the North. I thank you.
Great. I don't want to always sound like I'm in marketing, but I am PR and marketing. So to all the business communities in the North, we invite you. There will be a gala dinner on the 1st of June. So you're more than welcome to come as an attendee. Again, just DM us on those details. If you are situated in Ondangwa specifically.
Ondangwa.
Ondangwa and Ondonga.
Asking that they're missing out there in Mozambique and whatnot, and they're missing out. I actually have a pilgrimage that I will do to Mozambique, particularly to the Tete region. My grandfather sent an emissary from the Great Zimbabwe, and we built up some ruins there called the Muchena, in the Muchena area. And the gold and the ivory was moved closer to the Indian Ocean. And there's a huge Karanga tribe that is actually in the Tete area. And I'm quite passionate to making a trip and possibly have a concert at those ruins in Tete, at the Mchena ruins, right up in Mozambique. So we are not leaving anyone behind. You're in Kenya, you are in Brazzaville, you're in Cameroon. You want something to happen in your city, in your country. It will not happen until you make it happen. So get in touch with Poya Media, send your details. They will guide you as to how, what, when, where, which, who must do what, and we will facilitate, give you sponsorship forms and other things, and you do your own marketing strategy in your space, and we make these trips available. Of course, if Bill Gates was my friend, I would say just donate an aeroplane to me, and I'll be flying around Africa and spreading this great Pan-African message and revolution that we need to start uniting ourselves as a continent. I thank you.
Great stuff. You'll be around. Even Egypt is waiting for you at the end of the year to spearhead these Africanism, Pan-Africanism dialogues. We're 10 minutes away from having spoken to each other for an hour. I swear, let me make a confession. Bishop is now the first person I see every morning and the last person I see every day, because we're hard at work for him next week. Tell me if you're already bored of me.
And you can tell them I'm not a hard master. I'm quite easygoing, and I just want things done and done in a nice way. The fact that I'm a culturalist does not mean I'm not professional. I would want some professional touch to the quality of work that we are doing here.
So when we wrap up the conversation, in closing, thank you for the first stop, it being in Namibia. I think it'll be, let's say, the blueprint for other African countries. It'll be a copy and paste for other similar initiatives as well. And we are always honored to be part of this journey of yours. And many times, especially online, you don't understand your worth and your value. So on behalf of us as Poya Media, it's a brand that is credible enough. Many times we're very hard on ourselves, but I wanted to say you're doing a fantastic job. We appreciate you. And we can't wait to get the conversations going. I know it's going to be beautiful. We're going to document everything. Everything's going to be on your social media, just in case Poya Media has taken over all your social handles. So if there's over communication, bear with us. We're giving you the information that you need. Any final remarks, Bishop?
We need to start in Namibia, because Namibia is a desert. And it is a desert because the water and the wind is not blowing from the sea into the land. The wind is only blowing from the land into the sea. The influence of Namibia, therefore, means that we are not taking influences from the West. We are blowing the wind towards the West. And I think it's a beautiful place to start. It is where it is silent in those domes of sand, where the wind from America is not coming here to water this desert. It is us who is sending our wind and dust to water the other side. And our heat of the Namibian desert actually waters the greater Caribbean and the rest of Americas. So we need to understand the geography of our problem, that the microclimatological positioning of Namibia gives us that political statement that we are actually contributing towards the world rather than the world contributing towards us. I'm excited. And in closing, one last statement. If you don't have your identity right, if you don't have a true identity, you can never say the truth. A person with a false identity can never speak truth, because truth is not words. Truth is person. And if the person is false, everything they speak is false.
That gave me goosebumps. And let me admit, you know, when you get the same kind of word through different platforms. So I told you on Sunday sermon, it was all about the Christian identity. I told you that, right? So when you get the same message on different platforms, God is trying to talk to you. Bishop, thank you so much for allowing me to hijack your platform. I appreciate.
I'll send you the bill. Yeah? For every voice, there's an invoice.
No, there is. We got to make that money. So you need to tell me how to sign off, because I'm not in control over here. Thank you so much. Blessed evening. Please remember, contact us. If you want to see the logo on the top right-hand side, all you have to do is DM us. That's info@fotmg.com. And we also have startup rates. It's important as an entrepreneur, we customize packages for startups, which is very important. So reach out to us. Until then, good night. Do we have music, Mr. DJ?